Boker Or, Shavua Tov, Chodesh Tov. Masechet Gittin Daf 5A1. We're talking about that who's the one that's bringing, right? We were speaking about if somebody's bringing a get from Dinat Yam and he cannot say so he said if you have witnesses, which means you're going to come and you're going to be mekayem ima chotamim, right, with the signatures. So we asked, what does it mean that you can't verify the signatures? Says the Gemara, and this is where we're starting today. If you're going to tell me on Hamud Aleph on the top, if you're going to tell me that it's talking about a cheresh, that he brought a get, cheresh baratuye gita, can the cheresh bring a get? Remember, cheresh is deaf mute. Can he bring a get? But tanan lamanu b'mishnah, we learned in the Mishnah of Gimel Amud Aleph later on, 23a. Hakol ksherim lavi et a get. Everybody's kosher to bring a get, except for cheresh shotev katan, except for a deaf mute, a person that's not 100% there, and a minor. Thank you. Sorry. The Amar of Yosef, so says of Yosef, what are you dealing with? They gave it to, right? What happened is that he gave it to the shliach, gave it when he was actually a pikeach. And all of a sudden, when he speak lomar, he didn't have enough time to say, which means that this, imagine right now, he comes, he gives her the get, and he's normal. All of a sudden, boom. He can't speak, he can't hear. That's called, it's a strong, all of a sudden. Yeah? So Rava says, the Gemara, according to Rava, that he says that the entire reasoning is because of Litkayem Bechotamav, Nicha, it's good. This is the entire reason of Fananitam is what? Is Lekayem et a get. So to here, you could still, right? He doesn't need, once it was Mitkayem, you don't need the Shliach to come and say anything. But according to Rava, that the entire reason of Fananitam is because of Lishma. You still have a question. What do I care now that you're going to verify the signatures? How do you know that it's Lishma? So answers the Gemara, and here what we're dealing with, after Medinat Yam, they already learned how to do it. Meaning, in Medinat Yam, they started teaching everybody. You have to do Lishma, you have to do Lishma. And once they started teaching them that they had to do Lishma, then they learned it, and they knew that it had to be done for the sake of the husband, the sake of the woman, for the sake of divorce. Yeah, of the get. So says the Gemara, if so, Yachol Nami, even if the guy could say he doesn't need to say it anymore. Why? Because there's no lishma anymore. You don't have a problem of lishma anymore. So answers the Gemara, you still have to say the faran because maybe it's going to go back to its kilkul. What does that mean, to its kilkul? Meaning, maybe it's going to go back that it's going to become bad. And since it's going to become bad, so therefore that's going to be a problem. So because of that, they come and they say that it's going to be a problem. If so, right? So he says, which means that maybe later on again in Chutzad, it's the Bete Dinim are going to start forgetting again. And then it's going to be a problem. So because of that, even though they learned how to do the Shema, we're still going to say you always still have to say just in case they're going to forget again. So says the Gemara, so even if he cannot come and say it, you still have a problem then. So says the Gemara, he says, for somebody to be normal, give the get, and 2 seconds later, before saying to become a cheresh, it's not normal. And therefore, since it's not normal, they don't make a gezerah on something which is not normal. Meaning, you're not going to make a decree, what happens if? Something that's very common, right? So for example, right, when they say zilut of Shabbat, or things like that. So there, they do things on things which is common. It's common that they have, nowadays, all this technology. They have this in Israel, right? The entire question about the train on Shabbat. Let's say there was a Chas Shalom, but let's say there was a train that was going on Shabbat, right down Yafo. Would you be able to get on and get off? If the doors just open, like Chashmali, electric train, right? Would you be able to do that? Obviously not. Zilut of the Shabbat, right? So the question is, would you be able to come in to do that? So they come and they make a gezerah that you're not allowed to. Right, Zilut to the Shabbat. But something that is so uncommon, they're not usually not going to make a gezerah on it because nobody's going to start doing it. So therefore, it's not like they have to start making decrees on something which is not common. So says the Gemara, "V'hayisha delo shchicha." What about a woman? It's not common that a woman herself is going to bring her own get as a shlicha. So that's not common. Utznan, we still learned in the Mishnah and Kav Gimel Mubet. Hayisha tzma mevia gita. A woman could bring her own get. As long as she says, that means you do see that there's such a thing, that a woman could bring her own get, as long as she says, Now, why does she have to say it? If we didn't make a decree on something which is not common, and it's not common that a woman's going to bring her own get, so why does she have to say it? Answers the Gemara, we didn't want to differentiate in the shlichut, which means we didn't want to come and start saying that, the between somebody that's getting a bringer from chutz la'aretz and if it's a woman herself, we just said a person brings a get from chutz la'aretz, even if it's a woman herself, she still has to say, it's not common. Yeah, it's not common, but we don't want that anybody else that's bringing it from chutz la'aretz, they have to say it and she doesn't have to say it. So therefore, they made the on everybody. So says the Gemara, so Baal Nami, when the husband himself brings a get, why don't we obligate him also to say b'fanan tam? Alama Tanya, why do we learn in the Braita who at small shavigito he doesn't have to say it? Meaning, why is it that a woman that brings it, her own get, she has to say it, and here he doesn't have to say it? So he says, Tama Maya Murubanan. What is the reasoning why the rabbis came and they said that? Because maybe the husband's going to come, he's going to be ma'ader, and then he's going to disqualify it. Meaning like this: if it's anybody else that's bringing the get, he could come, and he could afterwards come and start doing an irur on it. What is an irur? He could start making it pasul. He could disqualify it. But if he himself is bringing the get, he can't disqualify. So if I come and I bring you a document that I owe you money, right? So imagine I come now to a bedin and I come and I bring the document to bedin and I give it to the bedin. Does it make sense that 10 minutes later I'm going to say that the document was false? So why am I bringing it to bedin? Doesn't make sense. So same thing. If a guy is coming and bringing his own get to his wife, it doesn't make sense that he's going to disqualify the get. But if it's somebody else, even if it's a woman, he could come and disqualify it. So therefore, there we're going to make a gzira that you have to say it. Okay? Tashemar. So we're going to try to bring a proof. Shemuel meravhuna. So Shemuel comes and he asks from Ravhuna. Shnaim sheviu get Medinat Hayam. Two people that they brought get from Medinat Hayam. Tzechin sheomru. They have to say fanen. So they have to say that in front of us it was written, in front of us it was signed. Or in tzechin, or they don't have to say it. Amaleh, he comes and he says, and tzrichin. They don't have to say. So again, one more time, you have two people that are bringing it. So it says over here, do they have to say it or not? They said you don't have to say it. If they're going to say girsha, if two witnesses come to Bedin and they say in front of us, this woman was divorced, they don't bring a get. They come and they say in front of us, this woman was divorced in a certain Bedin. Are they believed? Yes. So why in the world would they not be believed if they're bringing the get? The same two witnesses could have said she was divorced in front of us. They're believed. Now that they're going to say this is her get, now they're not going to be believed. It doesn't make sense. So says the Gemara, that's a proof to Rava. L'Rava Nicha, this is a proof to Rava that they don't have to say why? Because it's all a din of verifying the signatures. And if you have two witnesses coming, you don't have to verify the signatures. But according to Rabbi, the entire reasoning is because of Lishma. Kashi, that's a question. And so the Gemara, we're talking about after they already learned it. Ataiti? Yeah? Fine. If so, chad nami. What does that mean? Even one person bringing the get, right? He shouldn't say fanan tam. Why? Because if already now we do not need lishma because we already know that they learned it, what's the problem? So the Gemara's answer is the same thing. Maybe right now they learned it, but maybe another 10 years, 20 years, they don't learn it. Sometimes it happens that, for example, even nowadays it's becoming a little bit more organized, right? Where you have that certain batei dinim, they're recognized by the Rabbanu, which means that they know what they're doing, right? So, but sometimes it goes back that they don't know what they're doing, right? It all depends on, who's in charge. So says the Gemara, if so, beitrei nami. Also, two people that are bringing the get, they also should say fanan. So why does Ravuna come and he say that they don't have to say it? So answers the Gemara, beitrei demaiti gita minta de lo shchicha. Two people that are bringing the get is not common. Minta de lo shchicha, the exact same thing. Meaning, usually if you're going to bring a shaliach, a messenger, you take one messenger. Why are you sending two messengers? It's not common. So the fact that it's not common, that's why they didn't make a gezerah when you have two messengers coming and bringing a get. So ask the Gemara, a woman is also not common to bring her own get. Utznana, we learned on Mishnah later on, She could bring it, but she has to say time. Now you just told me that if it's not shchiach, she doesn't have to bring it. Yeah, and so the Gemara, we didn't want to come and differentiate between one shlichut and another, meaning that a person that we didn't want to make it between one shliach and another shliach, and therefore, even though the woman is bringing her own get, we didn't want to come and start making differentiation between the shlichuyot. So says the Gemara, if so, the husband also. So why do we say Alama Tana? Why do we learn who Gito? And he doesn't have to say befriend. Yeah, why do we say that? So says the Gemara, why did the rabbi say tzarich lomar befriend? Because maybe the husband's going to come and he's going to disqualify it. This is exactly something we learned before. If the husband himself is coming and grabbing it in his hand and bringing it to Bedin, it doesn't make sense that he's going to disqualify it afterwards. If you yourself are bringing it, it's like you're bringing the evidence and then afterwards saying that the evidence is not good. It doesn't make sense. Okay? Another question on Rabba. Tashema, we're going to try to bring another proof. Somebody brings a get to Midinat Hayam and he gives it to her and he doesn't say if you can verify the signatures, kasher, it's going to be kosher. If not, it's going to be pasul. So that means 1 second. So that means you don't have to say so it comes out, that means the entire concept of not saying is not like a chumra, it's actually a kula, that you don't have to do it, and it's just enough that they do a dut, and that's it. So there's a proof to Rava, the Rava nichla, Rava kasha. And so the Gemara, the same thing. They learned it already. So since in Chutz La'aretz they learned that it has to be lishma, that's why there's no problem. So ask the Gemara, I thought you told me that there's going to be a gezerah decree, that maybe it's going to go back to the original form, that they don't know how to do it lishma. So says the Gemara, Kesheni said, she already got married. Meaning, if she already got married, it's b'diavad. The shomea, b'diavad. Ma kavana b'diavad. Meaning, I'm not going to be posel leget, right? That she has to get divorced. But she already got married. If she already got married, I keep my mouth closed.
Who got married to a new husband?
Yes, she got married to a new husband.
She brought the gift.
Yes. Okay. So, if so, what do you mean it's not kula? It's because she got married. Meaning, sometimes you have a case where maybe the get was not the best get, but it's still kasher midoraita. And if she gets married, I'm just going to keep my mouth closed. I'm going to say, okay, you know what? You just keep quiet. Yeah? So, Hachi Kaman, he says, no, this is what I'm going to say. I would have thought to say to be machmir on her, to take her out of her husband. We're trying to be lenient, not to try to be machmir, which means that we're actually going to be lenient and not to be strict on her. Hey, Amud Bet, right? 5b. Yeah, to be or not to be? Okay? That's the question. Yeah? So, the reasoning is, because the husband is going to come and he's going to disqualify it. So if the husband himself is not coming to say something bad against it, we're going to get up and we're going to say something bad. Which means like this: if right now she got married to a second husband, and the first husband didn't say anything, so why in the world would we say something? Meaning, why are we going to come and start making problems if the first husband didn't make problems? If the first husband doesn't come and start saying there's a balagan with the get, that there's a problem with the get, why would we, the Bedin, come and start saying there's a problem with the get? Imagine right now I come and I put a debt document. He owes me $1 million. He doesn't say anything. Why would Mordechai now come and start getting up and start saying, you know what, maybe the document's false?
No, because he said we have partners.
Okay. No, but you understand? Meaning, it doesn't make sense. At the end of the day, if he's keeping quiet, why would somebody else or even the Bedin come and start saying, no, there's a problem with it? It doesn't make sense.
She came from Midinat Hayam.
Doesn't matter, but the husband's not doing anything though. He does know. At the end of the day, he has to come and say, right? She comes and she's saying, again, one more time. What are we talking about here? We're talking about over here that they already learned the concept of lishma and chutz la'aretz. That means they already know lishma and chutz la'aretz. So we asked the question, so maybe they're going to forget later on. You're right, there was a gezerah. Maybe they're going to forget later on, except for she still has to do it. But says the Gemara, right now though, they do know lishma. So the Gemara says, so why don't they have to say b'farei? Answers the Gemara, because she got married already. So if she already got married, we don't do anything anymore. So the Gemara is saying, but why not? Because if the husband's not coming, so why would we come and say anything? Meaning, as long as everything is status quo, we don't try to look for problems. Doesn't matter where it is. If you come and you bring a document that somebody owes money, if there's nobody saying anything, I'm not going to look for problems. I'm not going to start saying, you know what, maybe there's this, maybe there's that, and that. You don't look for problems. Okay? So says the Gemara, Beplukta de Rabbi Yochanan and Yeshua ben Levi. This is a machlok between Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi and Rabbi Yochanan. Which means this machlok between Rabba and Rava is the same machlok between Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. Okay, Tistayem, we want to bring a proof that Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi is the one that says Lefi Shemekin Lishma. Because once happened, Rabbi Shimon bar Abba brought a get in front of Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. And he told him, you have to say or not. Elmaleh, he says, you don't have to. They only said in the first generation that they weren't bekin lishma. But nowadays that everyone's bekin lishma, they don't have to. So tistayem. So we want to bring a proof that Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi is the one that holds that what? That really be'emet the entire reasoning of Fanei was because of lishma. And the proof that nowadays, since everyone's bekin, you don't have to say befanai nechtav, ufanai nechtam. So says the Gemara, v'tisbera, and it's also logical that he says v'harabba itle de Rabba. He says, because if you remember, we already said that Rabba also holds of Rabba. You remember we said this already. Rabba with a hey that says bekin lishma also holds of Rabba with an aleph. And you still have to verify signatures. Ve'od, and furthermore, and I thought you said which means like this. At the end of the day, what do you care if the reasoning is because of Rabba with a hey, because of bekin lishma? He also still holds of Rabba. You still have to verify signatures, number one. Number two, maybe today they know. Maybe in 20 years' time, they don't know again. Right? It could happen. And all of a sudden you come and it's, the big problems or whatever it is. And then they don't know again, halacha. So how do you fix that? Ella barada Rabbi Shimon bar Abba in shachnina v'biyadeh. Right? Rabbi Shimon bar Abba, he had something else also. Which means the reason why the shliach did not say it in the story, and only Rabbi Shimon bar Abba was the one to mention it, was because of the kavod of Rabbi Shimon, that the shliach hasheni was not chashuv kemoto, which means that really be'emet there was another person there, and both of them were the shliach of the husband to bring the get. But that means there were two people. So Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi says you don't have to say fanatam. Why? For lishma, nowadays everyone's bekin lishma, and for verifying signature, you guys are two people. So why didn't he mention there were two people? Because the other guy was a nobody. This was Rabbi Shimon bar Abba, and the other guy was a nobody. So because of the kavod of Rabbi Shimon bar Abba, it didn't say that there were two people. It just said Rabbi Shimon bar Abba brought the get, even though there were really two people there. So if there's two people there, there's no problem of verifying signatures because there's two people. Okay? Next.
Whose signature is it? The Rabbanim or the...
Itmar. It was stated. Bifnei kama notunola. What does it mean now? In front of how many men do the shliach have to give it to her? Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Chanina says, one of them says bifnei shnayim in front of two people, and one of them says, right? So one of them says it has to be in front of two people, and one of them comes and it says it has to be in front of three people, which means you're going to come and you're going to give the get, but in front of how many people? Two or three? So tistayim, we want to bring a proof that Rabbi Yochanan is the one that says bifnei shnayim. The Rabbi bar Rav Chasta aiti gita lekemen Rabbi Yochanan. The Rabbi bar Rav Chasta brought again in front of Rabbi Yochanan. Elmaleh, and he told him, "Zil hav lava petre, go bring it in front of two people." The and then you have to say, which means like this: even if you're going to be the shliach, that you're bringing it with one witness, and you're a shliach, you have to give it to her in front of two people. And then you're saying in front of two people, so why don't we just say that there's a proof of machloket? Right? He says, so why don't we just say that the one that holds two witnesses holds because of the shma, and the one that holds three witnesses holds because of what? Because there's no witnesses to verify it. So says the Gemara, the tisbra. Can you actually say that? Is that logical to say such a thing? Hami the Yeshua ben Levi from Yeshua ben Levi that he says Emekin Lishma. Rabbi Yochanan obviously says because Lefi Shena de Mitzvah Kaimo. So why does he say over here that it's going to be two people, right? Which means, according to our words, right, the rabbis come and say is only because enedim between the kaimo. So therefore, why you have to give it in front of three people then? Not only that, Rabba holds like Rabba again. We keep on bringing back the same thing. Rabba with a hey that holds the shma still holds of Rabba like an aleph that holds that you have to verify the signatures. But rather, according to everybody, right? We need witnesses to be mekayim the shtar. But here the machloket is, can a shaliach become an ed, and can an ed become a dayan? Meaning like this. Right now, I'm a shliach to give over an egg, to give over a get. Can I, the shliach, now become one of the edim? Yes. Right? That's the concept. Can a shliach become an ed? And can the ed become a dayan? Why? I'm going to be finished now because the one that says that from two, shliach could become an ed, and an ed could become a dayan. But according to the mandamar that holds that in front of three people, a shliach can become ed, but an ed cannot become a dayan. Which means that this is actually a very fundamental machloket between that basically, can we come and say that can a shaliach, it's like two different purposes. When you're a shaliach, you're a messenger. So when you're a messenger, your purpose is to become a messenger, not to be a witness. And therefore you're doing two completely different things. So therefore, it's not at the same time. Kaimalan, so we're going to be Kaimalan, the Rabbanan, right? And in the Rabbanan, the Ed said Dayan. That means Halakha Psuka, is there anything to do with the Rabbanan? An Ed could become a Dayan. Okay, so an Ed could become a Dayan mid Rabbanan. Ela Hacham Mipages. So what is the Machloket then? The more Savar Kevin the Ishak Shira Lavi to get Zimni the Mighty La Yitita Samchiala. The Idach Isha made the Yad Velo Samchiala. So basically like this. One more time. There was a Machloket between Rabbi Chanina and Rabbi Yochanan. According to Rabbi Chanina, he says since a woman could bring a get, right? She could be a shaliach of the get. Sometimes she's going to bring a get for another woman. And then what's going to happen is that since the derech klal, we give the get in front of two witnesses, also here we're going to give it in front of two witnesses, and ki'ilu, she's going to be mitzarefet to a bedin. So it comes out, now a woman can never become a dayan, so therefore how is she going to be mitzarefet to a bedin? So it's going to become a problem, right? But the other opinion of Rabbi Yochanan, he says, no, everybody knows that a woman is going to be pasul to become mekayem the get, so therefore we will never combine her to be part of the gibedin. So if there's no problem, right? So that's very, very important. So Tanya Kavateh Dirbi Yohanan. So we have a bright and according to Rabbi Yochanan. If somebody brings a get to Dinat Yam and he gives it to her, and he doesn't say you'll see. She has to go out of the second husband. Ve'avlan mamzer, and the child is a mamzer. These are the words of Rabbi. Chachamim said no. And avlan mamzer, the child is not a mamzer. So Kate said, says, so how does a shliach do if he's going to bring a get and he doesn't say v'rantam? So he says, Yitzlenu emen, he has to take it back from her. He has to give it back to her in front of two witnesses, and he has to say, that means what happens if he gave it to her already? It was already too late, and he gave it to her. You understand? It's already too late, and he gave it to her. Rabbi Meir, and according to Rabbi Meir, Mishum de lo amar, he says, I don't understand you. According to Rabbi Meir, because the person didn't say she has to get divorced and the child is a mamzer? How does it make sense? Saying is only a din rabbanan because we suspect that they didn't do lishma and this and that. But you're going to tell me now that the child is a mamzer? So says the yes. Rabbi Meir goes according to his reasoning. Says the name of the ula. That means according to Rabbi Meir, if you change from protocol, you have to get divorced, and the child is a mamzer. There's protocol. You know what protocol is? Protocol. You know what protocol is, yeah. You have the bureaucracy. It has to be done this way. If you change, that's it. So Barhedia Baile tu Gita. So Barhedia, he came and he brought a get. Atel Kamed Riyacha, Tava Mimuna Gites. He brought in front of Riyacha that was in charge of the Gitin. Amarle, he told him, Tzarich Atal Amod al Kolot Veot. You have to check the entire get. Right? To say, you don't have to do it. Maybe you just say lechumra, where you're giving me motzilaz and everything, which means that it's much that you don't have to see the entire get written, right? You don't have to check every single letter. Meaning it's not like you have to be like this the entire time looking on every single letter of the get to make sure that it's going to be kosher. Okay? Rabbi Rechana brought a get. Right? Sorry, half of it was written in front of him and half of it was not. He was in front of Rabbi Elazar, but he told him, as long as the first shita was written lishma, you don't need to see anything else. And the truth is, by the way, that's what they do nowadays. Nowadays, the two witnesses, they hear the sofer saying, I'm writing this get, L'Shem, Mr. So-and-so, to divorce his wife, Mrs. So-and-so, for L'Shem Girushin. So he's doing a Lishma. They listen to it, and they see him write the first line. Once they see that he writes the first line, they do other things. Because sometimes it takes half an hour or 45 minutes. It takes a while. Sometimes you can make a mistake. You'll have to start again. It's like Mamasha. So therefore, what happens? They go, they do their things, and then they come back when it's basically done. He just has to finish the Lamed of Israel. So they come back, they see the entire get, everyone reads it, they make sure it's kosher, and then, okay, fine, he finishes it, and then they sign. And then they're signing each one in front of each other, and then they give over. So you see from here that this is actually Hechal Maseh. That means they don't have to see the entire get. They have to see the first line that it's written Lishma, and then all the rest they do whatever their own things, and then they come back. And that's exactly what